Ethereum's price is about to make a decision and a move that I believe is going to impact basically every single altcoin in the crypto market. And so in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what this move is, why it's so important for the altcoin market, and what I'm doing to prepare for it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. And guys, do not forget that if you're trading some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, many others, you can check out the link down below to BTCC. Guys, if you sign up, deposit, and start trading today with my link, you're going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses, and two of you are going to get $250 in USDT just given to you for it, no matter how much you do. So feel free to check out that link down below and let me know what you think. So when we look at ETH, I need to give you a little bit of context to what's happening right now in order for you to understand this big decision, this big move that I'm talking about. So let's talk about what ETH has done for the last month. Okay, real quick recap, only gonna take me 2 minutes. So Ethereum's price was absolutely ripping going into the end of July, pushing all the way up to $3,900, right under $4,000, before slowing down back here and seeing a little bit of a liquidity sweeping low. Well, ETH's price came all the way back down to $33.84 before absolutely taking back off, pushing up towards some of these higher levels, surpassing this massive zone of resistance that it had created over those couple days. Well, as ETH's price continued to push up, we had a little bit of a slowdown right here, but ETH did make the full push all the way up into the red zone between $4,900 and $5,000. Now, this isn't just a random level of resistance that ETH ran into. Nope, this is that previous macro zone of resistance from, of course, that last all-time high, or really that first all-time high, right? From in November of 2021, this red box is exactly where we went up to once we broke through the green box. You see it? We had the green box, we ran into it. We had the green box, we ran into it. Then we pushed up towards the red box. Exactly. That's what we did this time again. We had the green box, we ran into it, ran into it, and then once we pushed through it, we came up to the red box. ETH made almost the exact move that it made a couple years ago. Now, after making that move all the way up into the red box, what you can see is that ETH tried to recover, but it was kind of struggling a little bit. It came back down, it found that same little liquidity that we had found right here, right? The same little support, and pushed back up, running again into the red box before now getting rejected. And now ETH is sitting back at this gray zone of liquidity, and it is making a ginormous decision of what happens next. I'm under the belief that the longer we go into this, especially over the next week and a half roughly, ETH is going to make the decision of whether or not it's just going to absolutely try to send it through the red zone or if it's just going to nuke straight through the green zone. I actually think that decision is coming extremely soon. And the reason why I say that is because September is historically an extremely volatile month with a lot of volume. It's not usually a great month, don't get me wrong. Like the historical gains of a September are not typically good, but to be fair, summer times don't usually come with all-time highs. So I'm not really worried about historical monthly performances and averages. But what I do know is that September is, again, historically a very volatile month, and I think that volatility is approaching. You mix that in with FOMC, you mix that in with macroeconomic data, you mix that in with geopolitical events. I think it's going to all come together, and it's going to be a massive combination that is going to allow for Ethereum's price to make the move through either the green box or the red box. Now, it might take a couple of days, it might take a little bit of time, and it might take a little bit more chop before that happens. Don't get me wrong. I mean, go look at the liquidation map. If you look at the 1 day for ETH, there's a lot of liquidations on both sides. You look at the 7 day, a lot on both sides. You look at the 30 day, more to the top side, but still a lot on both sides. And what that means is that there are still a lot of people who can be liquidated by this, right? The lizard people, I think, are going to be incentivized to let this puppy go sideways a little bit and keep going up and down to liquidate people on both sides. But I think once those liquidation events end, again, ETH is going to try to make a decision over the next week, week and a half of which one of these it wants to break out of, and that's going to be absolutely gigantic for the crypto market. What you must understand is that this is a historical range for ETH. I mean, the last time we bounced in this range was at the end of the bull market in 2021. And so it's extremely important to understand that if ETH's price gets rejected off this red box, comes back down and loses the green box, and goes down to create a lower low, especially than $3,400, that is not good. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to pretend. It's simply just not good. That is a macro structural breakdown, and that could imply that Ethereum is losing a lot of this bull market momentum it's been creating. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Not particularly. The reason I don't is just because whenever you look at the RSI, for example, the RSI has, of course, been resetting, don't get me wrong, which was a sign that this was losing strength, and it is a sign that some sort of pullback could be on the way. But it is already very reset all the way back to currently 58, and I think a pullback even to the green box would put ETH's RSI back around 40 already. So sure, it might try to drop all the way to the oversold territory. I just think that would be a little bit difficult. A pullback wouldn't shock me, but a pullback like that size would kind of surprise me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Now, in addition to that, if we do just go look, or sorry, if we kind of think about it from a macro perspective, institutions are just starting to pile into ETH. And historically, again, when institutions really jump in and dive in, they're not going to want to start with a dump. They're not going to want to start with a whole bunch of losses and, kind of realized or unrealized losses, right? They're going to want to jump in and they're going to want to make their clients happy. And so I think they will have some incentive to keep this thing, kind of floating upwards. And so I think when you mix in institutional bias, institutional manipulation, and just overall, market structure, I think ETH is in a good spot to where it can hold up here, but it definitely is a risk, right? It's definitely a risk. There is 100% the risk that ETH's price is going to start losing momentum and it is going to fall down, because some of the same things that I just gave you as kind of reasons why it could not fall are also still some of the same reasons it could. I mean, as it is pumping, it is losing momentum. That is just objectively true. And so that could imply that at any given point, a pullback out of nowhere could happen. When you go look at the liquidation map, look at how many people on the 30 days will get liquidated if ETH fell to say $3,800, over nearly $8 billion worth of liquidations if ETH's price does this. So the pullback could happen. I just don't particularly think it's the more likely scenario here. I don't really see a reason as to why, ETH would just absolutely nuke. Sorry, a little alarm's going off over there, but I don't see a reason as to why ETH would just absolutely nuke. Unless we obviously get some bad news, right? I think maybe what could do it is if Jerome Powell comes out and doesn't cut interest rates in September and makes it sound like he's not going to do it at all this year. That could be bad for the risk on environment. I think risk on assets like altcoins could definitely struggle as a result of that. And so that definitely could force ETH's price down. But that's like the only thing I think that would happen to kind of make ETH's price fall. And the craziest part about it is that even if that did happen, there is still the opportunity that ETH would say come back down to this previous point of liquidity right here, a little bit more around like $3,000, and still try to find some support and recover once we do get closer to the risk on environment, right? So I am pretty optimistic for ETH in general that we are going to see it go up. I just think that if it doesn't break through the red box now, like over the next couple of weeks, that, say if it doesn't break through the red box, right, and it comes all the way back down and loses the green zone of support, it might take a while. Like it might take us into October or November to really start gaining some momentum and push upwards. But again, I do still think that ETH is going to try to push upwards. This decision that it's about to make of which one it's going to break through, the green box or the red box, just tells us how soon that pump is coming, in my opinion. If we can continue to maintain some support and break through the red box, say next week, I think we're in a great spot to see ETH try to push towards $6,000. But if it comes back down and gets rejected and loses the green zone, well then yeah, I mean, we might see a couple weeks, if not a month and a half of pullback, ranging sideways ugliness before we do see ETH try to gain some support and try to push back to the upside. I don't particularly care which one of those happens personally. There is one side of me that's like, all right, let it pull back. Let's flush out a lot of this, this big leverage that's in the market so that when we do pump, it's more sustainable. But at the same time, I am tired of all of these pumps being followed by equally sized dumps. So I would be fine also with it just pumping. So I'm in a spot where I'm just a bit 50-50. I'm just like, you know what, let it ride. Let's just see what happens with ETH. If ETH can make this move, great. If not, it's not the end of the world. I probably will dollar cost average if ETH's price does start to pull back under the green box at some of our macro levels of support. So my current thing that I'm thinking of right now is, listen, ETH is about to make a massive decision of whether or not it's going to open up the door of opportunity for gains right now, or if it's going to pull back and delay all those gains for a couple weeks and about a month and a half. And I think that that is going to answer what altcoins are going to do for the entire market, basically. If ETH's price can break through the red box, the altcoin market unlocks the upside. If ETH's price breaks through the green box, that opens up the door of opportunity for basically all alts to probably pull back or go sideways / casually downwards a little bit, opens up some buying opportunity and accumulation opportunities, but it is likely going to delay any gains here in the altcoin market for what could be up to like October or November or something like that. So I think that's a very important thing that we need to be watching. I think that's extremely important, especially for our portfolios and how we're managing our risk. So right now, I'm actually pulling back a little bit of risk from any of my altcoins. Like I'm not doing any big leverage trades on alts right now. I'm not doing any big buys on alts right now either. I'm kind of just letting them play out, because what you'll come to notice is that most alts are also trying to make a big decision. Like XRP, for example, it is now in a macro triangle. As you can see, it's in this macro triangle, and I think it's going to decide this based on what ETH does. So say if ETH breaks through the red box, XRP is going to pump through the top side of this triangle. If XRP falls down out of that green zone and goes towards the bottom side, XRP is likely going to come back down and start trying to create some sort of like descending channel like this, right? So knowing that we have, how do you explain it? Like a lot of confluence and correlation between altcoins and ETH, and all these major alts are also clearly trying to decide what they're going to do. I think they're just waiting on Ethereum's decision here. And so, what I would do if I was you is I would literally just go on my charts, draw in this red box between 4,700 and 5,000, draw in your neutral zone of liquidity between 4,200 and 4,350, and draw in your support between 3,900 and 3,730. And don't do much until Ethereum decides which one of these is going to break first. Which one of these is it going to break above or break below? Because that's then going to give us this information that we need again to, on what's going to happen with the altcoin market and where we go from here. So I'll keep you guys updated as this does play out, but I did want you to just understand that while ETH's price is going sideways, don't think nothing is happening. No, a lot is happening right now. And what happens here and which one of these it breaks first is likely going to, dictate and indicate what is happening with the altcoin market for quite some time. ETH is still very clearly in control of the market. I honestly didn't think it was it had a lot of control over the altcoin market anymore, but ETH has displayed a lot of significance and power, especially over the last few months, once institutional investment did start to point its eyes at altcoins. And so because of that, you just have to focus on ETH. Listen, I'm not the biggest ETH fan. I'm not the biggest Ethereum fan in general, but I am someone who can respect where power is at. And the power right now is clearly planted on Ethereum. So we need to watch it closely. So again, I'll keep you updated as this all does play out, but I want you to make sure you're watching this closely because it can happen like that. And you need to be aware of what's happening and what you need to expect next, right? So I'll put some strategies in place. The next time I talk about ETH, I'll tell you where my buy levels to the bottom side are, my take profit levels are to the top side. Put very simply, just like kind of a quick thing, if ETH's price does fall below the green box, I am going to plant some key support levels where I am going to buy. The biggest one's coming around like 28.56. If ETH pushed through the red box, I am going to lay out some take profit zones, likely around like 5,500, 6,100, 7,100, stuff like that. So I will be taking profits if we pump through the red side. I will be buying if we break through the green side. So I'll update you on that strategy in a different video. I don't want to make this one super long, okay? So I'll keep you updated as this all does play out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know what you think is going to happen. And don't forget, there's a lot of liquidations on both sides of ETH right now. So don't be surprised to see a lot more chop liquidating all those people. So scale back. Don't do any 100x, 500x leverage long trades or anything right now, short trades right now. I just don't think it's a good idea. Let those people get flushed out. Then we'll make some moves. So stay tuned. I hope you guys have a very, very, very good day. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Bye.